This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright.
And you're listening to the Krypton Report.
And you're listening to Krypton Report.
Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's the Krypton Report!
The All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.
Welcome to the Krypton Report. We're going to be discussing Krypton, Season 2, Episode 9. And we know it's been a while. I've had some family things going on. And I just want to take a moment here to get serious and say, dang, my life was about to be some serious Superman parallel. My dad had a heart attack, and I'm like, look, I know I'm Clark Kent and all, but you know what? That's not cool. That is not cool. And humor is how I deal with stress. So my dad did have a heart attack. And I just want to tell everybody out there listening, love the people you're around, man. You never know when something could happen. Okay, now that the joke and the dry humor and my attempt at being funny is over, because that's how I deal with stress in my life, let's start episode 9. But I can't do it alone. No, because that would be boring and you'd have to hear more jokes like that. So I had to call out and look through the stars and look in the galaxies and travel through time. And then I just decided to call the guy who lives like 2 hours away. Hey, James, how's it going?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Little Solo's here. And he is talking about Doomsday because he knows we're talking about Doomsday here in episode 9, where Doomsday gets to do some powerful stuff.
Doomsday gets to wreck stuff in this episode.
Yes, he does. And he gets
Blood Moon, the name of this episode, is pretty aptly titled.
He also gets to wreck my heart.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful scene when we get there.
It is. So what was your overall reaction to this episode? Because like my notes, I'm just looking at it and I'm just like, man, so much just. It had some great stuff, but there's a couple of things that just kind of jumped out at me, and we'll just kind of talk from there. What got you out of this episode?
Well, I mean, it ties some things together. It ties back to Seg's time in the Phantom Zone, where Lyda's talking about her disagreement with Zod and fighting him. We get to see the moment. It wasn't just something that was, that Seg was going crazy on after 6 months in the Phantom Zone, where Zod is choking Lyda and they can pretty much hear him, which is pretty interesting.
It is like the way the Phantom Zone works. Now, I do want to point out real quick here that my man Solo here, the Superboy, he just walked over and he wanted to pick up on a movie because we were talking about Doomsday, and he decided to grab the animated Death of Superman.
Yeah.
So proud of him.
Nice.
Such a cool kid.
Yeah, sir.
But man, I'm like, look, I'm trying not to hit the high points. Like I'm looking at my notes. The cape not being there is bothering me. Like, what does it mean? Does Krypton still explode? Is that why Zod wants to colonize, move out into space, into the stars? Is there something else going on that we don't know about? Because I feel like so much of what season 1 represented and what it was about is gone. It's like no one cares that Superman doesn't exist. Seg's not mad at Adam about, his planet blowing up.
Right. See, I can see it from that, from that viewpoint of this season. Mm-hmm. Like you said, the cape's not there. Well, the cape is completely different. Like they erased that part of history, with Zod, with Seg being taken into the Phantom Zone, with Brainiac and Zod taking over Krypton the way he did. Like they changed history. So at this point, like there is no cape to count down. There is no ticking clock. The entire point of this is actually to stop Zod, to try and be able to make what happened to Superman no longer exists. So the point is to stop it and try to get history back on track.
Which is crazy because like we saw the cape turn into like a Zod cape, so it means that something had to exist or happen, or I don't know. I just would have liked it somewhere throughout if the cape disappeared again, or something where basically Zod never.
Right. Well, it's still a thing because in this episode specifically, Adam is talking about Doomsday, and he says the only person who is ever capable of taking him down in the universe no longer exists.
Yeah.
So he references exactly, what had happened, that Superman no longer exists because, history has changed. They're in an alternate timeline, and the only way to even potentially get back to that, to what the timeline he was trying to save, is to deal with what's currently going on. So, I mean, it's a lingering thing there, but it is really far off in the back. It's just kind of like it's there, but they have to deal with this stuff to even be able to attempt to correct and get back to what they were trying to do in the first season, which is save Superman.
It's very true. It definitely feels like I like this season a lot. It just feels like this is more of a different show than what we had, but not in a bad way, though, So, weird.
Yeah. This season has been great.
Yes, it has.
I've enjoyed every single episode of this season. And, as a whole, I mean, the ensemble cast, the production quality is still there. I mean, a great season, and Doomsday looks fantastic.
Yes, he does. Both versions, the CG and the puppet. Now let's get in some spoilery stuff because I got a list here. All right, first of all, the soldiers are just stupid trying to kill Doomsday. As soon as he came running, they should have just taken off. They needed to hide. Like, this is, like, you're shooting. It's that same concept, like Superman said. Like, why do they always, after they shoot me, why do they try to punch? Yeah. Like, you're shooting him with your guns, with your big guns, and nothing's happening. Do you think your little gun's going to work? Like, he's just going to destroy everything. And they got destroyed.
They did.
So, how about, James, before we get into more spoilers, you give us a synopsis of this episode, because I kind of got excited and kind of ran away. So why don't you take us there, James?
All right. Season 2, Episode 9, Blood Moon. Lyta reveals that Drew Zod is using the Black Mercy on Doomsday to control him, so Seg and Nyssa fly to Wegthor to warn the rebels before Doomsday's arrival, while Jaina and Dev stay back in the Outlands to tend to Lyta's recovery. Seg reaches and warns Val about Doomsday's attack, who plans to lure Doomsday into the tunnels and detonate explosives to seal the entrance of the base and entrap the monster. Doomsday eventually arrives on Wegthor under Zod's control, slaughtering the rebels as he makes his way into their base. One of Doomsday's attacks knocks out Wegthor's power grid, which shuts off the remote detonation. With no choice, Seg sets off a countdown for the bombs as Nyssa leads the rebels to seize Doomsday's spaceship from the Sagittari. But Doomsday reaches Seg's position, causing a cave-in. As Val must free Adam, paralyzed from the debris by the cave-in, Kem carries Seg to an escape tunnel to fly out on his skimmer, and dies upon returning to detonate the bombs to entrap Doomsday as the rebels lift off the planet. Flying away, Val underestimated the range of the explosion, watching it cascading as the rebels to witness Wegthor's destruction from space.
That was awesome. That was beautiful. Good job. These are getting more and more epic. I did get a little carried away and forgot about the summary. So to our listeners, I do apologize. But, man, all right. First of all, when did Nyssa get so BA? Like, Nyssa come running out leading. Like, why would anybody follow her? And why was she acting like she was in a Zack Snyder? I mean, like, it just reminded me.
She was
of, like,
in the 300 scene where King Leonidas was tearing through people.
I'm sitting there watching, like, holy crap, like, what is she doing? And I'm just like, wait, when did she learn how to fight? Like, I just, like, if I was a soldier, I just kind of like, why am I following her? Like,
right.
What are we doing?
Well, at this point, after, they've seen Doomsday, like, literally smash and dismember the entire force on the entire ground force waiting for the ship. I'd follow anybody to get off of that planet, get off of that moon.
We're getting out of here. You said you can take us there. All right. I mean, it was just one of those scenes where you're just like, huh.
Yeah. I mean, she's been awesome since the first season. You know, when she came in and her dad was going to try and kill her because of the Brainiac Sentry, who was the voice of Rao, told him to, because she was part of the coup to kill him. You know, she stopped him from killing her, and her and Seg both took out a bunch of Sagittari trying to escape. So, and, you know, she talked about her training from the military person who we met earlier this season.
It's true.
So she stepped it up a notch, but she's always been pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? She's always been pretty self-sufficient when it came to that.
You're true. I had forgotten about her military trainer that she had served with.
She had slept with.
Hey, that too. That too.
Yeah. So, I mean, this whole episode is about Doomsday. I mean,
he's charging.
Freaking General Zod releases Doomsday from captivity, from being held, from captivity, and he tells Doomsday to kneel, and Doomsday kneels before Zod.
Zod just has a thing about, he's always like, kneel, and you're just like, okay, I mean, I guess it's submissive.
Yeah.
But, so, moving on, Adam gets paralyzed. At the end, when the explosion and everything goes off, like, he gets paralyzed, can't feel his legs, which really sucks, for him. I felt bad for him. What do you want to say to James, buddy? Yeah. Hold on, James. Solomon wants to say something to you.
Okay.
All right, here you go, Solo.
I think...
Hey, Solo.
At the end, Doomsday died, because he opened his mouth.
Wise wisdom from the man, Solomon, the big Doomsday fan that he is. People might not know this about my child, but he loves Doomsday. But, so Doomsday, man, this got me, okay? First of all, Ken sacrifice.
Yeah, that was... Oh, dude. And it was a nice scene, it's all quiet, just the music playing. I mean, I say it's a nice scene. I mean it's a really well done, powerful scene. Yes.
Correct. But was I not? I was like, oh man, like this is a character that actually had a great arc when you think about where he started, and the fact that when he started, he was just kind of a little street rat kind of thing with Seg, and now look at him, like he was a soldier, he was leading, he stood up to Doomsday, and man, like that got me, like. And then, of course, Wake Thor blows up, boosh, and throws Doomsday into space, which I'm like, okay, cool. That's a way to, like, write out Doomsday, like, on a moon, blows up, hurls into space, makes sense, makes his way to Earth, all that good stuff. And I'm like, okay. But then I thought of this. How does losing your moon affect the gravitational orbit of a planet? Like, could that start to cause a problem? Would a moon explosion cause a black hole? Would that affect Krypton's gravity and their structure to cause them to blow up? I'm not a physicist, so I don't know, but that can't be good to not have a moon.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about, the gravitational force of the moon and everything like that. I mean, it would definitely, like, if we were to lose our moon, it would be, pretty catastrophic when it comes to water and tides and
exactly.
I don't know how it would affect our orbit or our rotation. But in the comics, Jack Sewer actually is the character who is responsible for blowing up Wegthor. So it's canon that it gets destroyed at some point. Maybe not quite like this, but we are also in an alternate timeline.
I got too many timelines to keep track of. Thanks, Barry.
Right. I don't know. Is that Barry or is that the World Forger because of the multiverse?
At this point, I don't.
Right. Just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
So I mean this episode was more action than it was anything else. Like, I mean, we had the scenes of Doomsday running and Zod sending in Doomsday, and they're like, oh, there's something coming on the planet. What is that? I'm not getting any signatures. Blah blah blah. It's Doomsday.
Yeah, and then they fire on him. They shoot at him. Just the whole freaking cavalry there. They shoot at him, the infantry, and Smoke. Oh, we got him. And then he starts charging in. They're like, no.
Yeah.
And then everybody he hits, it's just like blood flying everywhere. And he even steps on somebody's head.
Gosh, that was intense.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap. I mean, it is Doomsday. Best Doomsday we've ever had. Why is it that we get these shows, man, like this and Gotham, and the part that we love the most that we get the best out of is the villain?
Right. But they can't do this in the movies.
In the movies, we can't get good villains. I know that a lot of it's the nature of story that, we're with our hero so much that we get to spend some time, and even with TV, develop characters more and sometimes shift the focus. But I mean, we've got a great Zod, maybe the best there is. It's it's kind of debatable, but I really like.
Arguably, but a contender.
Yeah, I mean, we got the best Brainiac
For sure.
The best Doomsday. We've gotten 3 versions of Doomsday, and this one's the best.
Yeah. I mean, I like the T-1000 version of Brainiac in Smallville, but definitely this one's better.
And I agree. I mean, it was great in Smallville, but I mean, they did what they could with what they had. But this one's much more scary and comic book accurate.
And the actor just freaking kills it.
And so, is there anything else we have to say about episode 9? I feel like it was a good episode. I enjoyed it, but it was like getting us to the 10, to the finale.
Yeah. It definitely forward the plot. It brought everybody back to. It got everybody back onto Krypton. With no moon, the rebellion, the resistance has to go back to the planet.
Yeah, they have nowhere to stay.
And they finally gave us the full Doomsday we were hoping for since last season, since he broke out, and we were just we were wondering like why after 6 months isn't Doomsday wrecking the planet, and it's kind of like he was still a little bit on the less of a just rampaging destructive monster because of his origin story,
Yes.
So like perhaps after the destruction of the moon and the Black Mercy and everything, like that basically killing, the moon exploded with him inside of it. Like, so that's gotta certainly, cause a massive power increase to Doomsday's character, which we know is, basically immortal.
Yep. You really had to beat him.
Yeah. And then he still comes back. I mean, in Hunter Prey, the only way that they actually defeated Doomsday, because he comes back from everything, was sending him to the end of time where entropy would crush him and there's nothing left.
Yeah. That's in the words of Marty McFly, that's heavy.
Right.
But yeah, so, episode 9, Blood Moon. What's your rating?
It's as strong as anything else we've gotten this season. I mean, it's not the best we've gotten, but with the Doomsday stuff and pulling at your heartstrings with Kem, his story arc. I'm gonna go with a 9 on this. A 9 for episode 9.
I'm gonna go with an 8.5.
9 dismembered bodies out of 10.
Man, we got some serious stuff in this episode. All right, we're gonna take a short break, and then. And by short break, we mean, some time's going to pass, and James and I will reconcile on another day and record episode 10. We'll be back.
Report.
All right. That was Superboy Solomon, and James and I are back to talk about Krypton episode...
Told you we'd be back.
I'll be back. Krypton, episode 10. Now, it's been a while since we recorded because, 1, we've been busy, 2, life, and 3, man, we just got punched in the face with this one. This episode, like, I wish James and I could have recorded, like, the moment the episode ended, just how enthused we were about it, because we got it. They pulled a Swamp Thing on us with this. You know, like, we got this, and it was like, yeah, James, we got to record. Yeah, man, let's book it up. And then it was like 2 days after it aired, it was like, Krypton's canceled. So not only is this the season finale, it's the series finale as we know it right now.
Yeah. I mean, you could hear about it from lots of different places, but so basically kind of what it sounds like is Sci-Fi is producing this show, but they don't have the distribution rights. They don't have the streaming rights. The only streaming rights they have is for the 5 current episodes they have. And when it comes to cable networks like that, they have to go off of like live viewing numbers. Doesn't matter like DVR and streaming numbers, that kind of stuff. So the live numbers were pretty low.
Which is crazy in this day and age where everyone DVRs and watches and stuff. You know, we're not a live event TV society anymore.
No, not with this age of streaming here.
It's another thing, like, because like the streaming bubble is going to like kill itself or something, where everybody wants to stream, everybody wants to put out their own content and not have to pay the middle person, the provider of it. They want to provide it directly to you. But eventually, man, it's just going to add up and be chaos, you know, when you start sitting down.
Well, I think that's where when AT&T bought Warner Brothers, they got a law created about vertical integration. So like these providers like AT&T and Comcast and Spectrum, like these providers are going to be buying up these content creators. So the providers own the creators. So it goes right, you know what I mean? It goes straight through. So there's still less of that middleman. The only concern I have is like with the streaming war and all of the things coming out, Apple TV, Disney Plus, there's DC Universe, HBO Max is coming, you know, then they've got all the different other add-ons, channels and stuff, Epix and CBS and NBC's coming out with their own thing. I saw something, maybe it's called Peacock or whatever.
NBC's tie with Universal, so.
Yeah, they're part of Comcast. But the thing I'm curious about is monetarily, like, people are going to pick and choose, you know what I mean? And if they're charging $5, $6, $7 a month, as some of these are charging that low, like, are they going to be continuously be able to put the type of money they do into the projects? I suppose if, you know, you have to pay the provider to be able to stream. So, you know, you're paying AT&T for, you know, your internet, what have you. You're paying an AT&T provider, and that cost as well rolls over into the creator part, the studios that they bought and own. So I don't know. I'm sure it makes it up somewhere, but
well, it also just depends on who is what. I mean, Netflix is going to be hurting because they've raised their prices and they're losing content because these companies are pulling it to put on their own streaming service.
Yeah.
I mean, Netflix is making good original content, but that's not why we all started with Netflix, you know? And then Disney's over here like, hey, we're going to charge you $7 a month and give you all this. Like, nobody's going to be able to touch Disney Plus. But this isn't the streaming podcast. This is Krypton. So,
yeah.
How about, James, you give us a quick summary of what is, for right now, the final episode of Krypton?
Yeah. Season 2, Episode 10, The Alpha and the Omega. As Wegthor's remnants rain upon Krypton, Dev and Jaina debate their next action. Lyta denounces Drew Zod, and Seg contacts Val's ship to report Chem's fate. Nyssa manipulates a drugged Atom for his Zeta Beam teleporter in order to find her baby Jor-El, beginning on Ran, searching for Sardath. Nyssa soon comes across Burning Dead, finds an Omega, and sees winged invaders. As Atom expresses how House L is the first real family, the rebels learn that Lyta spies that Zod's troops are killing dissenters. Aiming to keep Zod's Sagittari engaged in the Outlands, Seg enters Kandor to publicly face Zod, as Lyta arrives and exposes him. The Sagittari side with Lyta, who fights alongside Seg to force Zod into submission. The Sagittari are ordered to cease fire on the rebels, and Zod is enthralled with the Black Mercy to peacefully end his reign. Celebrating, Val gives Atom a walking apparatus, while Dev and Jaina find Doomsday encased in Stellarium. As Lobo crashes the party, still searching for Brainiac, Seg offers to help him in exchange for his son's return. In space, Brainiac is taking Jor-El to Earth, now seeing him as his own son, to be a god among humans.
That is a very loaded synopsis.
A lot happens in this episode.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So I'm hoping, real quick, that with this being a Warner Brother Horizon, not Verizon, production. So this is still a Warner Brothers property. So it was just being produced by Sci-Fi, who wasn't making any money off of it. So hopefully the TV side of things, if we're lucky, keep our fingers crossed, knock on wood, this and that, perhaps, maybe DC Universe or HBO Max would,
pick it up,
step up and give us season 3. Yeah. At least a final season.
Give us
Get things back to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Phil and I had the discussion about back when Sci-Fi did Battlestar Galactica, and they did, like, every now and then they do this, like, made-for-TV Battlestar Galactica movies. Give us a 2-hour TV movie or something to wrap it up. Like,
right.
Give us something, sort of closure.
Yeah. What was the Sci-Fi show that Amazon picked up? It was in a similar position as Krypton. It was on for a couple of seasons, 2-3 seasons, something like that. And Sci-Fi canceled it, but Amazon picked it up.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think it's Eureka.
No, I'm drawing a blank. But yeah.
It's on the tip of my tongue, but so it's possible that things like that, when they're licensed from, say, like this Warner Brother Horizon, that it's possible that it could be picked up somewhere because it's licensed from someplace else. It's not in-house produced and owned at Sci-Fi. So it's possible it could be. And this is just,
this is our hope.
Wishing. This is rubbing a lamp and asking a genie for a wish.
Hey, we watched that the other night. So let's, first of all, the recap music in this, very Man of Steel remnant. Like, felt very Man of Steel style. Thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I love this show, how it does. I mean, it pays homage to everything.
Yes.
Every form of media there is that has involved Superman and Krypton. Like,
they're like, we don't judge.
Yeah.
It's all connected, baby.
Yep.
It was weird how it said, like, the episode started and it said Conquest of Earth, and it said 12 hours earlier. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? So...
Yeah. I loved how they, how Zod says, make for sector 2814.
Yep. Little green lantern.
Mm-hmm. Because, and I forget, there was another spot. I don't know if it's this episode or if it was in another episode, and I meant to bring it up at one point, but they do say something, and perhaps it's this episode because they brought up sector 2814, but that's where Earth is. Sector 2813 is where Krypton is, and they brought that up in this show. I'm not sure if it's this episode, but I know that I heard that in this show.
Yes. Yes, it is. So... why did I totally forget what I was going to say? I don't know.
So we get a nice, before everything goes down, we get a nice nice wake, a nice grieving part where everybody got to talk about and honor Kem. And Val honors him as being a member of the L family.
Oh my gosh, dude, it gave me chills and made me cry. Like, he said, Kim, brother of Seg of House L. And I was like, man, like, that is, like, Val has the power to do that. And, like, that just...
Yeah, he's the patriarch of the family. He's the oldest living member of the family.
Right. I'm just like, wow. Like, I don't know, man. It's strong stuff.
Yeah. It was really good. So it was a great way to start, a great way to start the season finale. Kem had just lost his life. This is right after Val gives Zod his ultimatum that we're coming for you. Like, no more talking. He basically tells them to shut up. This is no more talking, and tells them we're coming for you.
Yeah, he's like, this is it. and I mean, it's powerful. We got Kim, being declared as House L. And then this one got me. I don't know how you felt about this, but Dev kisses Jaina.
Yeah, I had seen that. I was like, oh. It's like, I guess, being alone together out in the Outlands, they've kind of formed a bond.
They've formed something going on here. I mean,
yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Well, yeah, in the last episode too, he says that he tells Lyta that he hooked up with her clone.
I mean, that has
thinking his dream came true.
Right. Like, how hard is that as, like, a person? Like, I finally got the girl. Yes. Bro. Yeah. That's her. You got her clone, bro. What? Yeah, man. Like, you didn't really get the girl.
But here's her mom.
Oh, yeah. And if you're really her mom's free.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. But I mean, I think that's a very interesting story. Like, there's something going on there that could be really interesting.
Yeah, that could definitely be an interesting thing to explore character-wise in the next season.
Oh my gosh! I mean, could you imagine? Like, oh, that's my it's my ex-boyfriend and my mom. So,
question.
Yeah.
Seg and Lyta, they love each other.
Yeah.
They know that their time together creates Drew Zod, this terrible dictator who they disown, who they beat to a pulp, and, enslave into the Black Mercy because of how dangerous and horrible he is. Do you think that would be like, well, like, dang, like we can't pursue this because of that?
I would say yes. But we have talked so much about just the whole children thing. Like, once again, Phil and I got in this discussion because I was like, if the machine, creates you, James.
Yes.
Technically, if you're made, it's like the original ingredients that made you are there. You're made. Technically, your information is on file with the system. So could Lyta, in theory, walk up to the machine, put in her name, inject her blood, then pick that she wants Seg's genetic information because it's already in the system? And we know, Seg put his information when him and Nyssa went up there for Corvex / Jor-El. It's like,
But that machine was also blown up at the end of season 1.
Right, that one was. But I'm just saying, like, it's never explained fully.
It couldn't be the only one on the planet. There are multiple cities, multiple city-states.
Now, I had this thought, like, just being the creative mind that I am. What would have been neat is if they would have talked about the war and everything that when Doomsday was created, is if there was, like, a huge planetary, like, disease that, like, wipes out, like, say that there was 5 million people total on Krypton, okay? Or 10 million, whatever number. And this disease, this plague ravaged the world and only left maybe 3 major cities. And now Krypton consists of maybe like 200,000 people. So all of a sudden you have this massive planet that's now small. So that's why you have, like, Kryptonopolis and Kandor as these major cities. And you have more of a world government types thing instead of, like, because I always look at when we watch these shows with alien planets, how our world is, where we have all these different countries and all this, and how big it is that we don't all know these people or know the culture of the world. Like, we have so many cultures in just our world alone.
Right.
How would, it work? But if we had something where most of the world's planet and population is destroyed, and those who are left bond together and create like a common society, and that would make a really cool story for Krypton. That Krypton was like the first leg of their eventual demise.
I would say that'd be a lot of irreparable damage either done before or you mean
it would be
or
done,
you mean like 1,000 years ago with
like 1,000 years ago, or like because this is like supposed to be hundreds of years before Cal. It's like 200 years before Cal. So like if 1,000 years ago or whatever, like just something so that when we do get to Superman and Jor-El and all this, because later when you meet Kryptons, you hear about it, they all kind of know each other. They're like, oh, Jor-El, I knew him, or this or that, and it's like, man, I don't know half the people on this planet,
right?
But if our planet got down only in the thousands, and someone was prominent, then maybe you would know people. So I don't know, just thought that was kind of a cool idea. From a creating point of view. But anyways, so we get a little bit more of Adam's backstory, like you said, where he tells Nyssa more about the Zeta Beam and what it does and Ran. And he's drunk, as he now has basically the same type of legs that Rhodey got in Captain America Civil War.
Yep.
And Nyssa steals it and goes off on the Zeta Beam and heads to a planet with a very interesting surprise.
Yeah, so she goes to the planet Ran looking for Sardath, thinking that he would be able to help her search the galaxy to find Brainiac. So, she gets there and she finds some burnt up bodies, some people dying, and then she finds an Omega symbol.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, before you go too far, I had found out that the showrunner, Cameron Welsh, that Omega symbol is not Darkseid.
Okay.
That Omega symbol is for the Omega Men, which Omega Men number 3 was the first appearance of Lobo. I don't know how that ties in, but that's what Cameron Welsh, the showrunner, had said, that Omega symbol was for the Omega Men.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool and all, but you don't just go flippantly throwing that symbol around,
Well, I mean, most people recognize it as Darkseid's symbol because of the Omega effect.
Exactly.
But it is not the only place that it appears. And beyond that, I can't say much because I have never read Omega Men and I do not know for what they are or what they do. But she also looks up into the sky and she sees. So when I first saw it, I was like, are those parademons? But then as they flew across the sky, they looked more angelic.
Oh, I'm totally
like, that's I said, that's Thanagarians.
And that makes way much more sense.
Because of the Thanagarian-Ran war.
Yes. With that, the idea of expanding, like with the season, the fact that, I feel like in a lot of ways, I don't know. Excuse me. I just feel like Darkseid, I don't know if you could really do that on TV well. But Thanagarians, which we haven't really got much of, exploring that culture and that world, because let's look at it. The Hawks, okay, on Legends, they're more of the Egyptian-based story, and so was Hawkman on Smallville. We've never actually had like the whole Thanagarian nation army in any kind of live action. So it'd make more sense to bring in another planet like Thanagar. And even maybe as far as like that in the current run of comics, where we have like this basically like United Nations of planets. That would be something just kind of cool to see.
Yes, it would. I mean, the Hawk people look amazing. So, I mean, Hawkman was done probably the best in freaking Smallville before Legends. But they look pretty cool in live action, and even drawn, they look pretty awesome. So, I mean, it'd be pretty cool to see Nyssa, kind of in the middle of what's going on, if we ever got that in the future. Mm-hmm. So sad.
Yes. I mean, the whole thing talking about this is such a bittersweet thing, because I want to be so excited for it, but it's like I just don't have the energy to be excited when it's just like, you're building up my hope and taking away. I don't know, it's just gone now. It's like everything that we can sit here and speculate and talk about, it's not worth it because it's gone, and I don't have time to.
Right. So, let's move on with what we did see.
Yes. Let's take it back to the good stuff.
Go back to Kandor.
All right.
Where Seg calls out General Zod.
Okay, yeah, he straight up says, "General, would you care to step outside?" and decides to fight his son. And he pulls open the shirt and has an awesome shirt on with the House L symbol that I want. It's hard to see. Haven't been able to find a really good screenshot of it. But man, he straight up.
That's a T-Public shirt to make for our merchandise, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. But man.
Yeah, he straight up called Christopher Reeve from Superman 2, "General, would you care to step outside?"
And they fight, and I mean, eventually, like, the people of Krypton rally against him, and the attack is called off. They call up as it takes too long. And Drew fights Lyta as well. Like, he takes on both his parents. And I mean, I feel like Seg's a fighter, but I feel like Zod would take him. It goes back to that.
Yeah.
Zods are made for fighter, and Seg, you're sorry, bro, but you're not.
Yeah, your family's made to be scientists. Just lucky your son is a better fighter than you when it comes to fighting Zod.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. He's earlier on in the season, when he's talking with Brainiac in his head, Brainiac tells him that they can't take Zod, that he can't beat Zod, which, if it comes down to, military strategy or, a one-on-one physical confrontation, it's not going to happen. So, but even the best fighter, numbers will do you in. So, yeah, they took it to him. It was a good fight. He was fighting off both Seg and Lyta, and he was trying to kill them. He pulled a knife. Like, Seg was going at it by himself. He told Lyta to stay back, but as soon as Drew pulled out that knife, she jumped in and started whooping him.
So I mean, it was very interesting. Anyways, we find out, this is one thing in the episode that actually upset me, is we find out that Doomsday is back on Krypton. Why? Why is Doomsday back on Krypton? You had a perfect way out with the character. You did just enough, and now you put him back on Krypton. Right. Like,
he could have been flying in a chunk of meteorite from the moon.
And that's how he got to Earth. Like, that pretty much writes itself. You got your character in, you got him out, and I don't know. Like, I'm just like, why? Like, yes, would I like to see more Doomsday? Of course. But you've created a character that we want to see more of, but it's his time to go, because then you have to once again try to find a way to write him.
Yeah. I mean, he was too powerful already to be able to stop. Like, that one weapon, for whatever reason, they developed a weapon strong enough to knock him unconscious. But after he survives the explosion of a moon, I doubt that weapon's going to have much of an effect on him anymore.
Right.
Like,
all right. So we'll kind of jump to when they defeat Zod, they put him in the Black Mercy. We find out, and that opening shot about him invading Earth is his fantasy, trapped in the Black Mercy with his parents. Now, I don't know where they're going to store Zod or put Zod or keep Zod. I'm thinking you put him in the Black Mercy, and then you put him in the Phantom Zone in the Black Mercy.
Right.
Like, let's double up this prison.
Right, a prison of his own mind and a physical prison.
But the other part is Brainiac has Jor-El and is headed to Earth, which is a holy crap moment. And then Lobo shows up at the end, peeing.
Right, peeing in the corner of the bar where everybody's at.
And basically he's mad at Seg, but they want to team up and stop Brainiac. So they make an uneasy truce that they're going to go after Brainiac together. And, I mean, that's like some ballsy, twisting, multiple layered cliffhangers here for a season now that we're never going to get.
Yeah. It was great to see Lobo come back, though, again at the very end. Seg tells him to drop his weapon, so he lets go of his junk. He's like, oh, well, good for you.
I mean, it was cool to have him again. Like, I like Lobo as just this side character that pops up. I don't need a full-on Lobo series.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, in this show, him popping up, they wrote him so well. And the actor who plays him did such a great job. For the first live-action Lobo, I mean, he's awesome. If they moved forward, which they canceled this as well, they canceled Lobo as well, so their sci-fi isn't moving forward with that, or rather they just stopped talks on it.
Well, I just feel like when we talked about at the beginning, like, I don't think maybe we'll say Warner DC, because I hate to say DC, just bigger than that, but like Warner DC might be looking at, we're going to launch this Max, we have DC Universe, let's start putting our properties where we have control over them. I just feel like that's in there somewhere. Yeah, I mean, they have DC Universe, they have HBO Max. If they are going to, say run congruently and put the original content, we know they're doing it with Doom Patrol, but if they're going to run congruently and put original content from both, from DC Universe's original shows, and they drop them both on HBO Max and DC Universe, I mean, they're basically going to kind of get, in my opinion, they're going to get double the income, because there's going to be people who are going to be getting HBO Max to watch the Warner Brothers stuff, and then that's going to lead them to some of the DC original stuff. And then there's going to be the people like us who are probably going to continue paying for DC Universe as long as it's available, because we're going to read the comics. We're going to watch all of the original stuff. We're going to watch all the old cartoons, all the old stuff that's on there too, all the way back. I mean, Super Friends, the Fleischer cartoons. Dude, I love the Fleischer cartoons. They're so beautiful to watch. They are. So, I mean, running congruently, I mean, that's DC, which is a Warner Brothers property. People are paying for DC Universe. People are going to pay for HBO Max, but people are going to see those things on both platforms, and they're getting money. Warner Brothers and AT&T are getting money from both HBO Max and DC Universe, but people can see it on both platforms. There's going to be people who are going to keep DC Universe because they want that niche content that DC Universe provides. But it's all coming into one central point, which is Warner Brothers and then AT&T. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a two monetary streams coming in as opposed to just one. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely correctly. So I hope that, Warner Brothers, Horizon, and AT&T, they move forward, maybe give us at least one more season. It's just so interesting, just because we've had, the only thing else I know that Warner Horizon has done right now has been Pennyworth. So it's just interesting to see like what their whole thing is, man. So I don't know, but so what would you give this episode? Let's wrap it up here. We're sadly beating a dead horse. I mean, season finale, I was ecstatic. Like everything I saw, seeing that Omega symbol and the Thanagarians, and I mean,
maybe a couple of things here or there, but Adam getting basically his comic accurate suit, giving him the ability to walk again, and having a jetpack, which was really funny when he smashes into the ceiling and crashes to the ground.
Yes.
For a season finale, before we knew it was a series finale, I gave it a 9.
I will go with you on that one. I'll say a 9. What would you rank this overall season?
I think that this season is a lot better. I thought it was a lot better than last season. It picked up and it hit the ground running. I mean, as a whole, I think season 2 was better than season 1. Just because we got more mythos, a lot more Easter eggs, at least noticeable Easter eggs. Mm-hmm. I still enjoy season 1, and I'm actually looking forward to rewatching season 1. I'm hoping that when this drops on DC Universe, they have season 1 on there. I can't imagine they wouldn't put season 2 on there at some point.
Yeah.
That when it comes on DC Universe, that I'm going to watch both seasons back to back. Kind of watch the whole thing.
That would be fun to do. Get like a not a retrospective as much as just a different perspective of watching. Because it was so weird about just how long we went without anything, So
yeah, well, we got the first season. We got the first season last year.
And then it was a little over. We got it in spring. We got it in April, because it was shortly when I moved in here. Late March, early April, because that's when I moved in. And then we got it in July.
Yep. And then, so it was over a year. So yeah, we got season 1 after 4 years, and then 5 years. And then we had to wait a year for season 2. And then it ends really well. Great season. Ends really well with some good cliffhangers. And then 2 days later, it's canceled.
Yeah.
And we're sad.
I mean, let's see. Let's just look at the fact that Gotham and Krypton were announced the same year. Gotham went into production, did 5 years, then was canceled. Then ended this year. Krypton got its second season this year. It was canceled this year. So yeah, but that's gonna wrap it up for Krypton. I mean, we named the show Krypton Report after, when we started the show, we had the perspective of Krypton coming for a long time. One of the jokes was there was no news or anything about Krypton. We had, Supergirl coming, and here we are now. We're at the end of it. So Krypton will... Yeah,
sadly, the name of the show, the name of the podcast for a show that we only got 20 episodes of.
Well, Krypton's still a planet that ties to everything, so...
Oh yeah,
we're still good. We're still good.
Oh yeah, we're everything Kryptonian. So, anything and everything Kryptonian. That's for sure.
That's our motto. Yeah. But just remember, good and faithful listeners,
look up in the sky.